This was super, super tense. I really enjoyed it, really loved the wintry vibes, and the ending was incredible. I was so close to like crying real tears. I was like, surely not, surely not. Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to Francesca's Books. My name is Francesca, these are my books, and here we talk about all things thriller books. And in today's video, if like me, you have hit the dreaded reading slump, yeah, this video is going to help you. I feel like we always go too hard in January. There's so many reading goals, there's so many books we want to read, there's so many anticipated releases, and it gets to February and you're just a bit like, am I over this? Have I lost my love of reading? No! Dear reader, you have not lost your love of reading, and I am going to show you the books you need to read next to get you out of this slump. Or maybe you're not in a reading slump and you just want some like really fast-paced books to like keep the momentum going. So in this video, I've got a mixture of some like popular books, which are obvious reading slump cures, some books that you may have heard of already, and then some lesser known books as well, because if you've like read all the really popular thriller books, you need something else to cure your slump. So here I am with my recommendations. Before we dive in, if you have any really fast-paced, easy to read, gripping books, drop them in the comments because I always like adding to these lists. And guys, I do hit reading slumps too. Like, I am not immune to this problem. So without further ado, one of my favourite books of the last couple of years, because of its fast-paced, it's really good characters, and it's just like well-roundedness, is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. The atmosphere in this book is so tense. I think that's one of the things that really gripped me the most. The plot is incredible too. There's a number of characters in this that you can follow and be suspicious of, but not to the point where there's too many to follow, because I feel like when I'm in a reading slump, if loads of characters are introduced and I'm already struggling, not gonna happen. This book had a great mix. So it's set in the 80s, already a win, and it follows care worker Kit, who goes to look after a suspected serial unaliver called Lenora Hope, and she lives in this like really isolated mansion, but she needs like round the clock care because she's paralyzed. She only has like some movement in one of her arms, like that's it. Kit is a bit down and out, she doesn't have any other work options, so she's like, okay, well I guess I'm gonna take it. And when she gets there, things are like really suspicious. There's like other members of staff that are already working there, and Lenora is just really creepy. And then one day she communicates that she wants to tell her story, and Kit is like, I don't know if I want to know. And then the rest of the narrative unfolds from there. It has a really great premise, and I just really recommend this book, especially for like this type of reading. So I've tried not to repeat authors in this video, but of course you can check out the rest of Riley Sager's books. A lot of them would probably fall into this category as well. I just didn't want to overload on a specific author. I have read all of this author's books and I've ranked his backlist. So if you're interested, I'll pop the link at the top for you to go and check out that video after. But as I say, this is 10 authors, 10 books. Of course you can check out their others as well. It just goes without saying. So next up is a book, if you read The Silent Patient and absolutely loved it and thought I need more of that like ridiculously good plot twist vibe, I would recommend checking out Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. This is another author that I really like. I've read her entire backlist. Again, we'll link the video if you're interested. A lot of her books are really good, but this one was a massive standout. It is my favourite B.A. Paris book, and it's also the most gripping and just the most slump beating. That's the thing. So the basis of this is like a super unreliable narrator, and the premise is this guy called Finn and his girlfriend went missing quite a number of years ago. I think it's like 10-12 years ago, and then now there has been a sighting of her in like the town, the village where they live, and he's like, so this should be wonderful, brilliant, happy news for him, right? No, he's made a life with her sister. I don't know why I always smile so much. I think it's just so funny to me, this concept. So I went into this book with absolutely no expectation, to be quite honest. I'd liked some of the B.A. Paris books I said, but none of them have been like amazing. Went into this, blew me away, was super gripping. Really the type of book that I picked up and just couldn't put down till I finished it. And I feel like this author's actual physical prose of her writing is really easy to read as well. Next up is a book from an author which is relatively new to me. So it is Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier, and I've only read Jar of Hearts from this author apart from this book. Didn't love Jar of Hearts, it was just okay. It was very gritty, but that wasn't even really the problem. I just didn't really gel with it. Never picked up the author again for a while until Little Secrets, and that definitely makes this list. The basic concept of this one is a missing child case. However, there is so much more to that. That's just kind of how this book opens, and then it just goes in like really unexpected ways. If you want a book that's really going to keep you on your toes, definitely choose this one. So a year after our female main character's son has gone missing, there is like press interest again, and it all sparks up like with it being the 1 year mark. But our female main character's husband is having an affair that reignites this case in so many other ways. Okay, the affair thing's on the synopsis, so don't at me. And you wasn't spoiling that. One of my favourite parts of this book as well is the point of view switches are just absolutely to the page well timed. Like sometimes you're reading a book and you're just starting to get a bit like, oh, don't know, maybe I'm not enjoying it, maybe I should put it down, and then bam, plot twist, or bam, point of view switch, and you're like, ah! This one, fantastic. Next up, we have the wonderful John Mars with You Kill Me First. This book isn't actually out yet at the time of me filming this, but it will be literally in a couple of weeks. It comes out at the start of March 2025. You guys know how much I loved What Lies Between Us. I talked about this book non-stop for about 6 months. Like, I think John was sick of me tagging him in posts at this point. But then You Killed Me First came out and it rivals it. I think this one is just like a little bit easier to read. I feel like What Lies Between Us, whilst they're both 5-star, it's just a little bit darker, a little bit more complex. I feel like this is easier to read and would get you out of a reading slump quicker. So this book opens with a woman who's trapped inside a burning bonfire, and we know nothing about her. We don't know why she's there. It's all very, very intense. Like, the bonfire is literally about to be lit up, similar to this cover, and then we flash back by 10 months and we go into this like domestic, suburban, rich people drama hell. So there's 3 female main characters in this book, and Liv moves into Margot and Anna's neighborhood, and they all don't like each other but all pretend to be friends, and things are very, very tense. These characters were fantastically developed. You could really sink your teeth into this book, and it was one of those where you weren't really sure who you were rooting for. Like, every single one of these characters could have been the villain at like some point during the book, and you're not sure where your loyalties lie, and I just love books that keep you on your toes like that. Next up is the it book of the thriller genre, and it is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. If you have not read this book yet, this is the #1 recommendation you should take from this video. This book is the definition of a slump breaker. You will literally start reading, you'll be on page 1, next thing you'll be on page 300, your dinner's burning, your kids haven't been picked up from school. I'm telling you. So if you've been living under a rock, this follows Millie, who is an ex-con. She goes to work for this really wealthy family in Long Island, and things get so weird. She goes into this attic room where she's staying, and the door only locks from the outside. The wife of the family is being so mean to her. She's literally gaslighting her. The daughter hates her, but then suddenly she's like, is there a vibe with dad? And everything goes from there. This book is insane. The plot twists are perfection, and bonus points, it's being made into a film at the back end of this year. We love you, Freida. I've also ranked all of Freida McFadden's books as well if you're interested. All 19 at the time of me recording that. I believe there is now around 23, so those ones are not included. I will be doing an updated version of that video again soon. Next up is a slightly less popular thriller book. I don't see as many people talking about it, and it is No Exit by Taylor Adams. One of the reasons this is such a good slump breaker as well is it's only like 270-ish 260 pages, so you're really gonna have a short story, but it is so action-packed. So this follows a woman who gets trapped at a service station or a gas station in a really tragic snowstorm, but there's 4 other people at the service station with her, and they all get snowed in. It's all very tense, and things just really escalate very, very quickly when she goes outside and sees a young girl trapped in one of their vans, and she's like, well, there's only the 4 of us here, like, it has to be one of them. This was super, super tense. I really enjoyed it, really loved the wintry vibes, and the ending was incredible. I was so close to like crying real tears. I was like, surely not, surely not. If you read it, you might know what I mean. Next up is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekerlak, and the reason this one's made the list is because it's like no other thriller book I've read before. I've never really seen this twist being done. I've never seen that level of like a romantic subplot, which really added to everything for me, and also something that borders on horror. It's not a horror book, thriller girlies do not fear, but it has like horror elements, and I just loved it. It was so well rounded. So this book follows another nanny actually. These books are actually like really up my street. I don't know what it is about like creepy kids drawing creepy pictures. Speaking of, this kid in this book draws some very weird pictures. Hidden pictures, if you will. So our female main character, Mallory, looks after this troubled child called Teddy, who is drawing pictures like this. But his drawings become like more disturbing, more disturbing, more disturbing, and then like kind of artistic. And she's like, is this kid possessed? Like, what is happening? This is super eerie, super chilling, and like really well rounded. I absolutely flew through this, and I really like the mixed media as well. There's quite a few pictures in this. There's not just the 1 or 2, so I would definitely recommend getting the physical copy so you can enjoy like the illustration side of it as well, but of course it's not a must. This author has just released another book as well called The Last One at the Wedding, which I'm currently reading, so I cannot wait to update you guys on that as well. Next up is a very underrated book that I would literally die on a hill for. This author I have never seen been talked about on BookTok, BookTube, anything, and it's so rare that I see this book being talked about specifically, and it is The Lies We Told by Camilla Way. She is a not very well-known author. She doesn't have that many books out. I think literally 2 or 3. I tried to read some more of her backlist and couldn't really get my hands on them, but this one is mainstream published. So this book is a dual point of view of a mum trying to keep her absolutely psychopathic child in check. This child is weird. She's like bordering on dangerous, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I actually think this kid needs genuine help. So that bit's set in the 80s, and there's another point of view of a woman whose boyfriend has gone missing under like super weird circumstances. And as she tries to work out what's happened to her boyfriend, these timelines kind of start to overlap, and it gets like really twisted, and I feel like the payoff in this book was incredible. So if you've read a lot of like the twisty, gripping mainstream thrillers, this one is probably a good one to read next. If you're thinking we've made it to number 9 in this list and Fran hasn't brought up Mary Kubica yet, joke's on you. Local Mum Missing is coming in at number 9 for best slump breakers. So this is set in like a suburban American neighborhood. It's all very like sleepy and nothing really happens, but then 2 women and an 11-year-old girl go missing within like a few years of each other. So they're like, what is happening? And then with that, a teenage girl who's been held captive escapes, goes back to the family, and she's like, I'm your daughter, like we're reunited. And they're all like, bitch, where have you been? Like, explain yourself. And that is the street version of what happens in this book. So this is a fantastic slump breaker because there's a few different things going on in this book at the same time. It is slightly slower to start than some of the other books. Give it 50 pages and you will be absolutely hooked, but maybe not from like actual page 1. So give this one a little bit more of a chance. I still absolutely loved it, and I feel like the ending of this book was so satisfying that like I was like really inspired to like start reading my thriller books again. And the final book on this list is on this list because if you want something like a little bit different, if you've read like the same thriller plots over and over, there's a missing person, there's a missing child, there's a weird male main character, this is just gonna like break all those stereotypes. So it is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and this one borders on like a sci-fi thriller. So this follows a male main character who is kidnapped, and he wakes up without his wife and kid, and he's like, what are you doing? So he wakes up after being adult napped, I guess, on this like chair, and he's locked in, he's like pinned down, and they're like, welcome back, Jason. And he's like, okay. Then it goes on to explore his journey of like parallel timelines and like the power of love and family and how that can bring you back to the ones that you truly love. Like, it's kind of a bit of a metaphor, I guess, for the strength that you have when you love people and like what that can do. God, my language is so not poetic. I'm really going to quickly read the synopsis on this book because I feel like I can't really explain this one very well. It is one of those that you just have to read, but for completion, it says, are you happy in your life? Those are the last words Jason Dessen hears before his masked abductor knocks him unconscious, before he awakes to find himself strapped to a gurney surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits, before the man he's never met smiles back at him and says, welcome back. In this world he's woken up to, Jason's life is not the one that he knows. His wife is not his wife, his son was never born, and Jason is not an ordinary college physics professor. Is it this world or the other that's a dream? The answer lies in a journey more wondrous and horrifying than anything Jason could have imagined. This one's just so different. It will cure your reading slump. So on that bombshell, these are the 10 thriller books that I would recommend if you want to try and get out of your reading slump. I'll put them here so you can screenshot if you're interested in a list, because I never list them in the description. I'm a little bit guilty of that. I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to read more amazing thriller books, and I cannot wait to see you next time.